Jaina.
Okay. So hi everyone. We're super excited to be here, and our recommendation is how to lower in-store operating costs while still maintaining and improving a great customer experience. And our approach was actually to first go into Walmart stores and ask employees, ask general managers what they first identified as the problems within Walmart. And from that, we actually identified 3 key opportunities and problems which we were going to focus on how to lower in-store operating costs and maintain a great customer experience. So the first 3 is reducing utility costs in Walmart. The second one is improving employee life cycle. And the third one is mitigating the risk of theft for inventory. So first we focus on utility cost. And this is because the energy costs of utilities actually count for 15% of the total operating costs in Walmart stores and superstores like it. And that's huge. What we also found was that 80% of the total electricity cost of superstores like Walmart actually come from refrigeration and lighting. Also, annually, it's predicted that superstores like Walmart spend $190,000 on their electricity bill, which is huge. So what we found was that we actually identified that the key thing that we had to do was improve the energy efficiency of utilities, specifically lighting and refrigeration. And what we identified to specifically focus on was open case refrigerators. And this is because open case refrigerators use 3 to 4 times more energy than closed case refrigerators. Also, in superstores like Walmart, open case refrigerators are actually 50% of the refrigerators that they have. And this is a problem because open case refrigerators are more likely to reach unsafe temperatures, which can cause shrinkage in food and cause food wastage and food spoilage. So we thought this was an extremely good problem to focus on, and also because since the display cases are open, they also have less of a low energy efficiency because most of the cold air spills out on the aisle. And this is because how open case refrigerators work is that the energy is discharged from the top and then it's collected in the bottom. So basically the cold air is supposed to circulate. But what in reality happens is that the cold air actually spills out on the aisle. And this causes a problem because not only does it lower the energy efficiency, it also causes cold aisle syndrome, which is found in most superstores, where actually the aisle is colder, which can decrease customer experience. So basically our solution, we found to use aerofoil technology. And basically aerofoil technology is primarily used and found in race cars to improve the direction of airflow. But there's a company called Airfoil Energy that actually uses the airfoil technology as a barrier to be attached at open case refrigerators. And basically what this does, it pushes the cold air back inside the open case refrigerator, so it reduces the energy consumption of the open case refrigerator. And so basically it's engineered, these devices are specifically engineered to keep the cold air inside and improve the direction of airflow. And using airfoil technology can help supermarkets cut 25% of their energy costs, which is huge. And it can also help reduce the shrinkage of food wastage and food spoilage in the open case refrigerators. So this is basically a display of how it would be used. Open case refrigerators would be used with airfoil and without airfoil. And as you can see, without airfoil, you can see the cold air actually spilling out because it doesn't have a barrier to stop it. So the implementation is actually extremely easy because it's retrofittable, and they actually scaled this across I think it was 2,000 stores in the UK, and it was done in a matter of seconds. And there's actually a video for you to watch. Can we click on it now?
I'm not sure if it'll work, but you can try because it's a PDF.
Oh.
Right. Probably not. Get that. Oh, I turned off the Wi-Fi so that the emails weren't coming through. Okay, keep talking. Keep talking and I'll get it.
So basically, you can see this video that an engineer just implemented the aerofoil in a snap of a few seconds, and it was extremely retrofittable to the open case refrigerator. So the implementation and the feasibility of this is extremely easy. And you can see this when the So it's working.
That's Tesco.
Yeah, and it's done. So, yeah.
Easy code.
So Walmart can actually save, because this was done at a huge scale in UK stores, and Walmart can actually save around $170 million from this, because that's how much superstores like Sainsbury's, you might have heard of it. It's a famous superstore in the UK. They saved that much by just implementing Aeroportals in their supermarkets.
So the next part of our recommendation is based around employees and the employee experience. So there are so many things that we have to do as an organization to get employees, right? So recruiting, hiring, onboarding, and training. And employees are an organization's biggest asset, but they're also the biggest cost. And so what happens when employees leave early, they leave after 6 months, or they retire, or when employees leave the organization, we lose a lot of costs because we spend so much training and recruiting and hiring them. So there are so many different ways that we've identified to basically make the employee experience better so that they don't leave Walmart early. So when we actually went into the Walmart store, what we first realized was that there are a lot of employees in the store, but they're not actually assigned to the correct sections. So what happened was we saw a bunch of employees grouping up at different ends of the store and in different sections. So there were just groups of employees, but they weren't actually spread throughout the entire store. So when you were in specific sections, there was no help or no one kind of assisting you in those specific sections. So then you had to like walk to a different part of the store to actually find employees for assistance. And so this doesn't really help a customer if they're trying to figure something out or they need help, and they have to kind of walk to a different place to actually get that. Another thing that we found out was that the self-checkout, so there was a group of about 8 to 10 self-checkout stations, and there was only one employee kind of watching over that. And so when one person needed something, there was no one else to get to everyone else. And so this was really slowing down the process. People were getting really frustrated. The line was actually really long behind the self-checkout. So these are like a couple of problems that we found with the employees, and basically we need to find a way to fix this issue so that it's a better experience for the employees and for the customers as well. So we've identified a couple of things that we can do to actually fix this issue. So the first one is around employee scheduling, right? So we need to find a way to make sure that there are enough employees in the store and that they're also spread out across the different sections so that they're not grouping away. They're not grouping up in different groups, and they're actually spread out throughout the different areas of the store. The second thing for the self-checkout is maybe having 1 or 2 employees, so more employees actually working at the self-checkout, because people are getting really frustrated. And I remember when I went in the store, I saw someone checking out a bike. So they were literally taking like an entire bike and checking it out in the self-checkout. And of course, they can't do that by themselves. First of all, that was probably bad judgment on their part, but but like I'm sure a lot of people take in items that you shouldn't really check in at the self-checkout, right? So I'm sure this happens a lot, and so when we only have 1 employee that's attending to a whole bunch of stations, that doesn't really help. Yeah, so the next thing is getting employee input. So I'm sure Walmart already does this, but getting more employee input through surveys and different things that we can collect data from the employees to actually figure out how we can better the experience for them and the customers, because they're the ones that are actually interacting with the customers every day. And so when we get input from them, we'll be able to make this experience a lot better for them and for the employees. So those are a couple of the recommendations we have based on the employee's experience and making it better for the customer and the employee.
Yeah, and a major focus that we initially went into when walking into the Walmart stores was focused on theft, and a lot of these issues actually came from indirectly when we actually went to the Walmart store and had those experiences to see, oh, maybe this can be improved as well. So in terms of theft, Walmart Canada's external shrinkage was over $175 million, and that's crazy. And there's actually a 1 in 48 chance of a shoplifter actually being caught. And when we were actually going to Walmart, Zaina actually went in, and we were seeing so many posts on Reddit and stuff of people saying, it's so easy to steal from a Walmart self-checkout. And the reason is it's also onboarding a lot of previous unlikely offenders who really wouldn't be likely to steal in the first place. And there's always those people who want that extra bargain and want to save and cut down costs. But it also presents an extremely low risk theft opportunity. And And there was a lot of surveys and case studies conducted by different organizations and universities. So a big one was the University of Leicester that did a 2-year case study on how easy it is to steal from self-checkouts. And they actually monitored about $21 million worth of goods sold from a superstore, and of that, 850,000 of them were stolen. So some people on Reddit were saying, it's crazy to spend over half of your money on when buying goods at Walmart, and there was like, okay, if you don't want to pay cashiers, then I don't want to pay for my groceries. So the main 2 ways how people steal from self-checkouts in the first place are through tag swaps and also not scanning items in the first place. And we did a lot of research to identify how we can maybe use our knowledge to combat that. And when we actually went to the self-checkout and attempted to steal, we didn't actually do it. We found out that the machine actually gives you a notice when you put the wrong item in a bag based on the weight, but this is really inefficient because you can just not put an item in the bag and it'll never know that you stole something. So we actually, myself and Zaina, were focusing on computer vision in the Knowledge Society program. We thought it would be a really interesting intersection because self-checkouts in Walmart already had cameras embedded into them. So one of the big things was actually using computer vision for tag swaps. So let's say if a person wanted to buy a steak, they could just put a tag of a banana and scan them instead to avoid being caught by a person who's actually looking for them. And but instead, if you had computer vision into it, it would actually recognize, hey, this is a picture of a steak that you're scanning. It shouldn't be costing $2. And it's actually really, really easy to implement. And another thing that may be most focusable for the long term is recognizing suspicious behavior using computer vision. So it's a branch of artificial intelligence. And after that, notifying a person, an employee working in the self-checkout space. And when Zaina actually went to the self-checkout, she actually noticed that the employee responsible for looking over it was just on her phone the entire time, and she wasn't looking at it at all. So that's a really, really major opportunity for people to steal, and we don't really want that. And in addition to that, because Walmart already has the infrastructure that to implement the computer vision, it actually lowers a lot of the cost for implementation. And the cost is mainly centered around software, so it's all a matter of how many developers you want working on it. For myself and Zaina, we built a lot of computer vision projects in about a week. It's all about collecting the data sets, but a lot of these data sets are already available online. And it's also a matter of how much time you want a person working on it. And also, we recognize that Walmart, something like computer vision, all these technologies are great, but what are some easy things that you can implement faster? And we did research into different customer psychology. So if there's anti-theft signage around the store that's emphasizing the different consequences of stealing, it's actually a major deterrent. Or even some of the simplest things, dressing an employee up in a security guard costume. That serves as a major deterrent as well, but limiting the amount of items you can check into a dressing room, or even making the store layout more open. So overall, our recommendation was really, really valuable for us, and we hope it was valuable for you guys as well, whether it's in increasing the energy efficiency, but also improving the customer experience after improving the employee experience, but also in turn reducing theft and helping Walmart overall reduce in-store operating costs. But thank you so much for the opportunity, and we all got to learn so much and had lots of fun doing it as well, and actually going to the stores, talking to people, and we attached videos of the different things that we noticed in the deck, so you can just take a look as well.
Thank you, Alec. I'm actually very impressed with, first of all, with the fact that you actually went to the stores and saw the real life and spoke to real people. And second one, I just wanted to compliment you for choosing technology disciplines, because we're looking to attract more women into technology and engineering, and you've dealt with the airfoils, you've worked into the computer vision, so thank you. Please keep pushing.
So you're ready to come build this for us?
Like I built this YOLO algorithm, like YOLO classifier, so it's with computer vision too, and I literally built it in an hour, and it has extremely high efficiency and accuracy as well. So it's super easy to implement.
Very cool.
All right, so we'll chat after.
Very well done. It's funny that we can give you a challenge like this, and you go out with the audacity and enthusiasm that you have. and to Sergio's point, you know, go to the store and then you come into this big corporate office like this and present to us, and you touch upon topics that we talk about at length internally. And it's funny you talk about self-checkouts because that's pretty much most of my portfolio.
That's fair.
Yeah. Everything you, I'll just compliment you. Everything you talked about with self-checkouts is what we talk about nearly on a daily basis. So I'm very impressed you can, one, identify it, but two, also present it in the way you did. So I think well done. You know what, I don't really have any questions. I just want to say, you know, congratulations. It's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I have one question because I'll be that person. So I think the aerofoil was a very interesting application. And I think you were mentioning Tesco
Yeah, I
in
remember
the play.
seeing.
And of course, you know, as a, remember back to the problem statement of low-cost operating model, I understand the benefits that could be had, but did you think about at all some of the return on investment, meaning with the cost that you would have to apply, even though it looked pretty simple in terms of the man hours to apply them, but things like electronic shelf labels and so forth are expensive to just get those pieces in place. Do you think that the cost of that is something where a low-cost model like ours could be successful at?
Yeah, I definitely think it can, because I read a bunch of papers where other supermarkets like Sainsbury's in the UK did it, and even though it costs quite, I don't know the exact amount, but obviously it costs a lot to implement it and scale it widely, but the amount you save from it, they saved $170 million just from implementing this. And I think that in the long run, this can actually benefit Walmart more and save them more money in the long run.
And maybe similar to your approach on switching it from incandescent to LED bulbs, it's focusing on that long-term return. But we'd be happy to reach out to maybe the company working on it to maybe get a hard number on exactly how much it could cost for each.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was worried at first because I thought you were going to recommend like just
Doors.
closing them off with
Yeah.
doors, which is what we're doing actually. And what you save in terms of energy, you lose in terms of labor efficiency. So
And customer experience.
and
Because of more.
experience. But
You can actually attach the labels on top of it, so the customers can still see it.
yeah, I was very impressed. 3 very real
Yeah.
opportunities and issues that can be solved for today. I was bleeding inside on the self-checkout, but Michael said it well. Everything that you spoke about was everything we speak about today. I was speaking the exact conversation about self-checkout there today. So you were right exactly where you needed to be with the presentation. So thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
and like last one, like the store operations slide, like the employee experience was like as if you were designing store operations and what kind of improvements you can drive.
Which store did you go to, by the way?
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
I went to multiple.
Yeah.
A bunch of them.
Yeah, it's a funny story. So she's from Richmond Hill, I'm from Burlington, so we wanted to meet in the middle, maybe go to a Walmart store together. So we went to Toronto, downtown Toronto, until we realized there is no store in downtown Toronto. Then we ended up going, I think we went to,
It was near.
it was in Aussie. It was on the Green Line of the subway.
Yeah.
We eventually got there. The driver got lost, but yeah, it was the one.
It was a
near
good
the
experience.
Atoll Coast.
It was also during retail inventory, so like we literally had to beg people like, please, can we talk to you? Can we interview you? And you'll see the interviews.
Yeah, I went to the one in Mississauga.
I forget. One of the. Yeah, and something interesting that we found, in addition to the problems that we listed, was actually when we went to the store, none of the employees wanted to talk to us, and that's even before we said that we just wanted to ask them questions about operating costs. So they might have thought we were just customers, and they said, "Sorry, I don't have time to talk to you." And the reason was they said we had inventory the next day, and we're focused on making everything look pretty and everything. And we found out they were like, yeah, like I mean, this happens like 1 month, like a whole month out of the year, preparing for inventory. And they're like, yeah, they were in a really bad mood. So.
But they said it happens 2 times.
It's a year.
Yeah, they said the reason why it happens 2 times is because the first time they lost a lot in theft. So it's only supposed to happen 1 time, but then they had to do it 2 times. So that's again where self-checkouts, like the computer vision model, can really help.
Yes. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was great talking.